Chairman, Dean Professor and colleagues. My presentation today is about the neuropathological explanation of the dizzy patient. First, I start by the physiology of balance. The sensory input from the vestibular, which is responsible for the rotation sense of spatial awareness, rotation and linear acceleration, together with the input from the visual system and somatosensory. These sensory input they are integrated within the central vestibular system, which is composed of the cerebellum, responsible for the integration of information and regulation posture and movement, with the cerebral cortex and the brainstem. All of these give rise to the control for the motor output through the vestibulo-ocular reflex, eye movement control, posture adjustment, and reflexes, which give rise at the end to the balance of the human. So the assessment of the dizzy patients should include first the proper history examination, bedside neuro-otological examination, in addition to vestibular lab with advanced equipment like EEG, VHAT, and etc., together with neuroimaging. So what I want to know from the dizzy patient, or from the assessment of the dizzy patient, I want to know whether it is vestibular dysfunction or not, side of the lesion, whether it is peripheral versus central, side of the lesion, right versus left, degree of central compensation, and vestibular rehabilitation pattern. The test battery or bedside examination starts by general examination of the patient, ear examination with inspection of vesicles, trauma or surgery, tympanic membrane examination, tuning fork test or tracheal compression. Each item will be discussed later. Neuro-otologic examination by motor and sensory function and reflexes, cranial nerve examination, cerebellum, and the office vestibular test. For time issues, and I will discuss only the office vestibular test. What is the process of office vestibular test? The advantages of office vestibular test that they are easily performed with low cost and need no special devices or only simple devices like Frenzel glasses, so that the bedside examination is considered with proper history taking, can give us the correct diagnosis without the need of lab vestibular investigations. But the disadvantages of the cons of the office vestibular test that they are subjective and qualitative, not quantitative, and with low sensitivity in some tests. To start the office vestibular test, we can classify it into group classification, starting by the oculomotor test battery, the vestibulo-ocular reflex test battery, the vestibulo-spinal reflex test battery, and the OTOALEX function, in addition to some provocative tests like Dixon pike maneuver and miscellaneous tests like hyperventilation test. For each item, I need to know some information like how can I do the maneuver, what is the normal finding and what is abnormal finding, and what is the clinical significance of the test. Before starting the bedside examination, I should examine the head posture and the ocular alignment of the patient. The head posture through the inspection of head and body posture to detect whether tilt or turn on the head or the body, position of eyelids to exclude ptosis, which occurs sometimes in lateral medullary infarction, what is known as Wallenberg syndrome with Horner syndrome. The eye position also and motility should be examined carefully. The position of the eye in straight gaze, I should start with that to detect misalignment or spontaneous nystagmus, and examination of eyes in the 8 positions. Together with important to examine it monocular and binocular and detect the range of movement. For example, I can detect it by inspection what is known as the ocular tilt reaction. The ocular tilt reaction refers to the triad of head tilt, ocular torsion, and skew deviation, which occur due to asymmetry in the otolithic pathway from the reticle, the head usually extended, and the ocular torsion toward the hypotropic eye. Then start the oculomotor test battery. I start it by the gaze test. The patient is asked to focus his eyes on the target, which is sighted 30 degrees to the right and to the left, also up and down, from the midline. Remain stationary for 20 seconds, and nystagmus will be observed. Normally, there will be no nystagmus, but abnormally, I find the gaze-evoked nystagmus. Gaze-evoked nystagmus is a red flag, as it differentiates peripheral from central vestibular disorders. If I find horizontal gaze-evoked nystagmus, it can be a structural lesion in the brainstem or cerebellum. If I find vertical gaze-evoked nystagmus, it occurs in mid-brain lesions. The next one in the oculomotor test battery is a smooth pursuit test, which is known as a tracking test. The patient is asked to follow the target, sighted approximately 18 inches away from the patient and moving slowly from the center, no faster than 20 degrees per second in both horizontal and vertical directions. Normally, also the patient or the can track it smoothly, but abnormally I find what is known as catch-up saccade or saccadic pursuit. Also, it is a red flag as it differentiates central from peripheral vestibular region. The classifications of gaze booked nystagmus, it may be symmetrical, occur in two directions, or asymmetrical, occur only in one direction, which indicate a focal lesion. بعد كده السكات test is asked, the patient is asked to focus quickly from one target to the other, either the two fingers of the patient or the finger and the nose of the examiner, sorry. The head is kept, while the head is kept stationary. I deduct the following parameters: the accuracy, speed, and the conjugate eye movements. Normally, the patient should be able to shift, focus quickly, accurately, and with conjugate eye movements from one target to the other. But abnormally, I find abnormal accuracy, speed, or disconjugate eye movements. Also, saccade is a red flag for central vestibular disorder. After that, the test battery for the VOR function. I start the VOR function by testing the spontaneous nystagmus. In a darkened room with a frenzel goggle to approach the fixation, the patient is asked to look straight ahead or in the primary disposition. Normally, there will be no nystagmus, but abnormally, I will find the nystagmus. The most important is to differentiate this nystagmus, whether it is peripheral or it is central, by the following parameters. First one, the direction of the nystagmus. In peripheral vestibular nystagmus, it's combined torsional and horizontal, while in central, pure vertical nystagmus or pure torsional nystagmus is pathognomonic for a central vestibular lesion. The effect of visual fixation, I can detect it with and without the frenzel goggle. It will inhibit the peripheral vestibular nystagmus, but the central nystagmus is not affected by visual fixation. The effective gaze, it will be unidirectional according to Alexander's law in peripheral vestibular nystagmus, but in central it will change into direction. The mechanism of peripheral nystagmus is asymmetric loss of peripheral vestibular tone, while in central there is imbalance in the central oculomotor tone, maybe pursuit or the autopilot. The localization of the pathology, as we know that in peripheral it is located either in the labyrinth or the vestibular nerve, while in the central usually in the brainstem or the cerebellum. After that, the head impulse test. This is or head thrust test. The patient head is tilted 20 degrees forward, and the patient is asked to fixate his eyes on the examiner's nose and maintain fixation throughout the head turn. Then smoothly head rotation from side with impulses. The impulses بقى اللي بنعملها دي should be with a small amplitude but high acceleration. It should be rapid, passive, abrupt, or unpredictable for the patients, and to one side, then to the other side. As we detect in this patient, he has a right peripheral vestibular lesion. When the patient head is turned to the left, there is fixation on the target, which is the nose of the examiner, while when the patient head is abrupted to the right side, there is a patient do refixation saccade. Head shaking test, the procedure, the patient is asked also to relax and wearing the frenzel glasses to abolish the fixation. The head is gently grasped on the temporal region and tilted forward for 30 degrees, so the lateral semicircular canal become in the horizontal position. And I do rapid oscillations from side to side, about 30 to 45 degrees from the center for 30 minutes, for 15 seconds, at a frequency 2 Hz. Then abruptly immobilize the head of the patient, and I observe the induced nystagmus. Normal finding, no post-heat shaking nystagmus, 1 or 2 beats, but abnormally I find post-heat shaking nystagmus. The clinical significance of post-heat shaking nystagmus is detection of the side of the vestibular lesion. As in unilateral peripheral vestibular lesion, the nystagmus beats opposite to the weaker side and differentiates central from peripheral vestibular lesion. In central vestibular lesion, the post-heat shaking nystagmus may be prolonged, vertical, what's known as perverted or disconjugate nystagmus. After that, the dynamic visual acuity test. At 2 meters from the Snellen's chart, the patient is seated, and the patient is instructed to read the lowest line that he can read, what's known as the static visual acuity. Then the patient's head is grasped and tilted forward and moved from side to side at frequency from 2 to 7 Hz for 20 seconds. And again, I ask the patient to detect the last line he can read, what's known as the dynamic visual acuity. Normally, there is no difference or a little difference between the static and dynamic visual acuity by no more than 1 line, but abnormally there will be a drop in the visual acuity for more than 2 lines. And for example, it is effective in bilateral vestibular lesions that occur in a minor lipocytic system. The VOR suppression test, first I will show you the video. What is the concept of the VOR suppression test? VOR is essential for maintaining stable vision of the target when the head is moving, but the brain requires a mechanism for suppressing the VOR during combined head and body tracking together. The VOR suppression is managed mainly in the vestibulocerebellum, what is known as folliculus and parafolliculus, so that it's important the diagnosis of chiari malformation. The procedure using a swivel chair or rotator chair, the patient is asked to extend her arms, as we saw, in front of her and clasp their hands together while thumbs pointed to the ceiling. The patient is asked to maintain fixation with the thumbs. The patient's body is rotated entirely one block from side to side with rotation velocity from 10 to 40 degrees per second. Normally, the eyes remain stationary and motionless in primary gaze position, while nystagmoidal fixation jerks in turns, mild or very few. But abnormally, there is repetitive fixations known as nystagmoid jerks during middle of head rotation. So that it's important in the diagnosis of lesions in the folliculus and parafolliculus, as we mentioned. Then the office test for the VSR or vestibulospinal reflex. We start by the Foucault stepping test, as we saw. المفروض في الصورة دي كان الexaminer should be beside the patient for safety and support. Then the patient is asked to stand with bare feet in the center of the graded circle, and the examiner will stand behind for safety and support. The procedure, the patient is asked to march on for 50 steps in place with eyes closed and arms outstretched, as we saw, at shoulder height with no auditory cues. Before the actual testing, the patient is familiarized with the procedure with open eyes. Normally, rotation should be less than 45 degrees from the center and moving less than 1 meter forward. But abnormal finding if I find rotation greater than 45 degrees or moving for more than 1 meter forward. The clinical significance is detection of the side of the vestibular lesion with the patient rotating towards the weaker labyrinth. Like rotation to the right more than 45 degrees in denoting right vestibular lesion. The Romberg's test. The patient is standing with the feet close together and the arms crossed across the chest with the palm of each hand placed on the opposite shoulder, initially with eyes open and then with eyes closed. In sharpened Romberg, the patient stands with the feet aligned in the tandem position, which is known as heel-to-toe position, or stands on a foam pad with eyes closed. Normal finding, the patient is able to stand with feet together with eyes open as well as with eyes closed. While abnormally, what's known as Rombergism or post-Romberg sign is present when the patient is able to stand with the feet together with opened eyes or butt sways or folds when the eyes are closed. The clinical significance, post-Romberg sign occur in proprioceptive loss was known as sensory ataxia such as Stevens dorsal or neurocephalus and sensory peripheral neuropathies such as chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy and also bilateral peripheral vestibular loss dependent on the visual cues for balance. The office test for the OTOALEX organs, what's known as the cover and cover test. Either eye can be covered to start the test. For pause or a while, with the cover in place over the eye to allow time for the eye to drift. And quickly move the cover to the other eye. Normally, the occluded eye remains fixed in place upon removal of the cover, but abnormally, any movement of the eyes, what's known as pick-up fixation, indicates the patient has misalignment. The clinical significance is detection of otolith or central lesion. Skew deviation is suggestive of otolith imbalance, which is known as vertical misalignment of eyes, while skew deviation also may occur in posterior fossa lesions. Now to the miscellaneous office test. who start with hyperventilation test. The patient is asked to take deep, rapid breaths for 30 to 60 seconds, average 1 breath per second, and the examiner should observe any nystagmus before and after hyperventilation. Normal subjects has no nystagmus, but abnormal there will be nystagmus. Detection of central vestibular lesion is the clinical significance of the hyperventilation test. The post-nystagmus indicates central vestibular lesion. Also, as cerebral angle tumors, vestibular schwannoma, multiple sclerosis, or perilymphatic fistula by altering the intracranial pressure that is transmitted to the labyrinth. Hyperventilation induces symptoms in patients with anxiety and phobic disorders, but usually we do not see any nystagmus. Also, we can do in the bedside examination sound stimuli like can be Valsalva maneuver and tracheal compression. Vertigo and imbalance may be induced by sound stimuli to the ear, what's called Dooley phenomena, and also caused by defect, caused by the defect in the bone overlying the labyrinth, known as the third window syndrome, which is sought to create third window in the wall of the labyrinth. That provides low resistance pathway for the transmission of low frequency sound energy to the labyrinth. Also, changing the intracranial pressure by Valsalva maneuver or tracheal compression elicits vertigo in the labyrinthine fistula, what is known as Henbert sign. Other provocative tests can be done. The Dixon height will be discussed in details in the next 2 lectures with Dr. Mohammed Mustafa and Dr. Samir. Also, positional tests can be done in the bedside examination. The patient is moved slowly into a new static head position or a stationary position, like sitting with head turned to the right and sitting at head turned to the left, supine, then the head turned to the right and left, and also right and left decubitus. Normally, there is no nystagmus in the new position, but abnormally, we find positional nystagmus. If we find positional nystagmus, we should differentiate central from peripheral nystagmus by the following. The direction fixed positional nystagmus occur in uncompensated peripheral vestibular lesion. It will be opposite to the weaker side, and if we find direction changing positional nystagmus, it occurs in the central vestibular lesion. To conclude, a crucial aspect in the management of these patients is differentiating central from peripheral vestibular disorders. A thorough bedside examination, careful history taking remain the most important diagnostic tools for dizziness and vertigo. The bedside office tests are complementary, not substitute for laboratory tests. For example, the head impulse or head thrust test and the caloric irradiation, as Dr. Ahmed Khater mentioned, they will complement each other for assessment of the vestibular system. As a head impulse test, the VOR at high frequencies, while the caloric irradiation tests the vestibular system at low frequencies. So integration of bedside office tests with other assessment gives rise to good diagnosis, better plan for management, and better prognosis.